Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Talk Musicals to Me, a fun theatre podcast about musicals and their impact on people. My name is Caroline Sheen, and I'm here to quiz some of the leading creatives in the entertainment industry about their relationship with musical theatre and how certain musicals may have influenced their lives in ways you may not even expect. From how they first encountered a musical to musicals they may never even have seen, let's dive in and introduce today's guest to open up and talk musicals to me. Join me today as I talk musicals to Brett Bowles. Brett Bowles is an award-winning musical theatre songwriter and music director. He is really well known across the social media spectrum as hosting the MT, which is a fabulous piece of content, I guess is the word. If you go on his Instagram, I'm sure you've seen it, you will see him do the most incredible breakdown in like 60 seconds of a phrase of a Sondheim show or a Disney show or a Schwartz show. And he will tell you how the music is influencing what you're feeling, what the character is feeling, what the story is that is being told. It is incredible. And I love it. I'm slightly obsessed with him. And I'm so excited that he has come on my podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me, Brett.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm a bit breathless to have you. I'm speaking too fast, probably, but thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
Where are you joining us from today, Brett?
I am in Connecticut in the U.S., about an hour and a half outside Manhattan.
Oh, wow. Fabulous. You're a teacher, right? Is that your day-to-day job?
So I was a public school teacher for 5 years. I left that a couple of years ago to start my own songwriting program online. So I run like a group coaching, group mentorship songwriting program now for the past 2.5 years. And it's been the absolute joy of my life. I have people all over the world enrolled, and my goal is to make better musical theater songwriters of us all.
Oh, well, that would just make the world a better place, wouldn't it? Let's face it.
It would.
That really would.
It would.
Is it Zoom lessons? What is it that you do?
I have a curriculum of video modules that I pre-recorded so people can go through those at their own pace. And then I do two-hour group coaching sessions. So we talk songwriting, I listen to work, I provide feedback, the group provides feedback. Then we have like a musical theater specific call that we do once a week. And smaller group cohort support. So I've got a whole team with me, and it's just a lot of fun. We just nerd out about songwriting, and everybody gets feedback on their work, and it's like a big old happy family.
I love the sound of that. That reminds me, and I think it's something you've been involved with as well in the States, which over here we call it the BML workshop. I think it's called the BMI workshop, I think, in the States.
Broadcast Music Incorporated, the BMI, started this workshop in the mid-1960s with Broadway conductor named Lehman Engel.
Yeah. Is that where you go and you learn how to write musical theatre?
Basically, yeah. That's essentially what that is.
Is that what we see in the movie of Tick, Tick, Boom? Is that basically one of those workshops?
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Where he's presenting and you've got like Stephen Schwartz sitting there and people like that.
That's it. I've been there for about 14 years now.
Wow. Learning from the best. That's amazing.
That's the goal.
Thank you so much. I'm going to start with my first proper question now.
Okay.
Which I'm really excited to hear what your answers are going to be. When did you first meet musical theatre? What was the first musical you remember going to see?
Okay, so the first musical I saw on Broadway was Beauty and the Beast, and obviously that had a huge impact on me. But the first musical that I had ever heard was Les Mis, and that was in my dad's car when I was probably 7 or 8, and I heard Castle on a Cloud, and I was the shy, quiet kid who liked to sit in the corner and read his book. And so there's something about that song that just really connected with me. And then I sort of fell in love with that whole show from that point on and thought this musical theater thing is really cool. And so I listened to a lot of it and went to see a lot of it. And it wasn't really until middle school, high school that I started performing and got the bug that way.
Do you think with Castle on a Cloud, was it because it was a kid singing? And then you're listening to it as a kid going, I know this person. I am one of these people.
I think that was it exactly, and I just felt so connected. That whole I vibed with it very strongly and
Yeah.
felt that huge connection, and that became sort of my go-to musical style. This sort of epic, big, which is evolved throughout the years, but that's how it started, was from that show.
And I think it still is quite a lot of people's way in. I mean, I know when I was a kid, the way in, like the first musical theatre song a young girl would sing would probably be Tomorrow. When I was, that was like early 80s. Whereas my daughter's age group now, even now, the first song they're learning in their musical theatre class is Castle on a Cloud when they're all like 6 or 7. That's the song they learn to sing. That's become kind of the go-to song for that thing. And that's so lovely that was the seed that was planted right then.
Yeah, it makes sense. Kids need a way in. And so giving them a character that they can relate to and see themselves in is a huge thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually just recently went to see Les Mis. I was invited to the 40th anniversary of it.
So cool.
But they cut a verse out of Castle on a Cloud. I think probably because the show was so epically long.
Yep.
They cut a verse out, and I always miss it. But the little girl was so sweet. The whole audience melts as soon as she comes on stage.
Was Alfie in that one? Is that the one with Alfie Bow?
Alfie turned up at the end, yeah, and did a big old key change.
Of course.
They had about 4 Valjeans singing, and then he came on and took it up the octave. It was as he does. Excellent. And so, which then was the first musical that you were first personally involved with?
Okay, so the first musical I ever did was after a summer camp that my grandmother insisted that I do, and I was the shyest kid in the world, and I still am pretty shy and introverted, which is very hard for people to believe if you see my videos, but trust me, it is. So after that camp, the same director who ran that camp was directing a production of The Music Man, and because I loved her so much, and I, fell in love with the whole art form after doing that camp, I auditioned for that and played Winthrop.
Of course.
Sifter, with the, of course, the little redheaded kid at the, it was perfect. And then the very next year was my freshman year in high school, and I ended up playing that part again because my school did the same show. And so I played Winthrop twice in a row, back to back, that first
You're
year.
an old hand by then.
That's right.
Do you remember thinking, I have to do this differently from last time because I'm a year older now and wiser? Or did you go for just the same as you did last time?
No, I thought this is going to be so easy because I just did this.
Yeah. Fabulous.
I was young. What the heck did I know?
We don't really do the summer camp thing over here. What is that? What does it entail?
I mean, there's a lot of different programs that run around here, but this one was a 4-week, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. or something. Mm-hmm. And the way that this particular camp worked is that, the director had put together like a sort of a big cabaret thing with all these different songs from all these different musicals. And then, we were in groups learning some group musical numbers. And then we auditioned for solos. And so some of us had solos. And so it was just a 4-week thing of learning all about musical theater, learning the songs, learning the choreography, doing the acting thing, and then putting the whole showcase up at the end for all the parents.
And it wasn't one of those ones where you go and you stay in the woods for weeks on end.
No, God, no.
It's you stay at home. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was we commuted. It was at a local university. So it was, I drove 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it was just a daily commuting thing.
Lovely. So I guess we would call it a summer school. That's what we call it over here, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Just very specialized.
And it's lovely, isn't it? Because is that the first time you're in a room with like-minded people that you're going, oh, okay, you like Castle on a Cloud too, or you love Les Mis, you listen to this.
Yes, exactly. And I had no idea going into it what this was going to be because I had no experience with outside of listening to the, the original Broadway cast recording of whatever shows I had listened to. I had no idea. And initially, my feeling was, there is no way I am going to like this. I was very, very dead set against it. I'm there's a ton of people I don't know, which was hell for me. That was the ninth circle of hell. Here I'm going into this place with people I don't know. All I want to do is be by myself. I don't want anybody to bother me. And then, because we have to sing for the director and the music director, and they saw right away that I had a voice and that I could actually do this thing. And so she paid very, very careful and special attention to me, which helped me get into the thing. And then when I realized that I could become someone else and slip into someone else's skin and I didn't have to be me, it was like I could do anything. I could stand in front of a room of 1,000 people and perform and be just fine. Whereas if I had to be there like as myself giving a speech or something, forget it. It would never happen.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? That fact that you're hiding behind a character and yet that character frees you up to do things you never would in your real life.
Yes.
I love that. I do quite a lot of concert work and my husband is also an actor, but the idea of him doing a concert is terrifying because he would have to sing as himself, singing a song from whatever. But in a concert situation, it's kind of you are you singing the song on the whole. And that's terrifying to him. Whereas I'm fine doing that. But he wants a character to hide behind. He wants, 5 weeks rehearsal and all that rather than just turn up on the day and belt out a show tune.
I get it.
Yeah, I understand it. But I'm I guess I'm just a bit like, well, I need the money, so I'll do it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Paycheck.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, Brett, which musical have you seen the most? Is there one musical that you're like a super fan of, or that you've realized I've seen this one a lot of times now?
So I have two answers for this one. So one, as an actor, as a music director, as a director, I have done Seussical about 8 times in my career now.
Yeah.
So, and I love Seussical. Don't get me wrong. I love Seussical, but 8 times is enough. I don't think there will be a 9th. That's as far as working on a show. And of course, I've seen it a couple times too. So I think I've probably seen Seussical more than I've seen any other show ever just because I've worked on it so much. But my favorite show, and the show that I've seen because it's my favorite show, is Ragtime. Strangely enough, by the same writers, Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty. But yeah, Ragtime is my number 1 favorite musical of all time, and I've seen it in a bunch of different places.
Wow. Did you see the original production of that in New York?
No. That was like right around the time I was just starting to get into this whole thing, and I was not clued into that at the time. I regret that in a big way now, but no, I didn't get to, unfortunately.
My head of musical theatre at my college, he went to see it. I think he might have even seen a preview of it in New York. And he literally turned around and booked a ticket and went and watched it. I think he saw a matinee and then turned around and went back in for the evening because it was so impactful. He just absolutely fell in love with it.
It's incredible.
We had it over here as kind of like a smaller scale production over here than it was in New York, but still just... You can't get away from that score and that story and the whole message of the show, can you? It's so wonderful.
Oh, it's just amazing. And the craft is so solid on that show.
Yeah. And bizarrely, I know like you say with Seussical and Ragtime, they are written by the same people, but with your musical MT hat on, what are the similarities and what are the differences with those two scores?
So differences first, right? Seussical is a very sort of out of place, out of time kind of score because it is very much existing in its own sort of fantasy world, right? So it sounds like it could have been written yesterday or, 30 years ago or whatever. And Ragtime has a very specific, at least in terms of the way that most of the show is scored and written, is a very almost pastiche flavor to it because it's that ragtime feel, it's that stride feeling in the left hand and the syncopated melodies in the right hand, and that sort of seeps its way into every song from every group, whether it's the white people living in New Rochelle or the black ensemble characters or the immigrant ensemble. That ragtime feel is interwoven throughout all of those, which makes the score sound really cohesive, and we could talk for hours about that. But yeah, so those I think are the stark differences between the two scores. Similarities, and I think this is more a similarity just in terms of style. I mean, Stephen Flaherty has one of the greatest gifts for melody out of any composer writing right now, and he just has a way of writing these melodies that pull on your heart. And I think there are definitely links between some of the melodic feelings that you get from Seussical, and you get those in Ragtime. You get that in all their work, Man of No Importance and Anastasia and Once on This Island. Yeah. I mean, they're all over the place. His fingerprint is very distinctly on that.
And all so diverse, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's such diverse stories.
Yeah.
And yet all written by the same people.
Yeah.
I find that so fascinating. Writing with different voices in mind, I guess. That's where the difference comes in.
Yeah, I feel like as writers, we all have our DNA and our little stylistic things that we do, our own voices that can't help but color everything that we work on. But you always have to be very, very conscious that you're writing for specific characters who want very specific things and who feel very specific things. So both of those things have to come together in this happy medium where you want to make sure that everything that you're writing musically and lyrically is coming from a very specific character perspective. But at the end of the day, Sondheim included, like probably most out of anybody, like our own styles color everything that we do, which I think, interestingly, is a little bit of a tangent. But I think the one person who I don't always feel this way about, who I think is one of the best chameleons working in musical theater right now, is Janine Tesori. I feel like her work, I don't listen to something like Fun Home and then listen to and Shrek and Violet and like it's crazy that all of those shows are her and Kimberly Akimbo. It's just she has such a gift for like compartmentalizing her voice to be very, very specific for one project, and I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, because she's almost like becoming a different personality each time she's writing for a different show.
Totally.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, actually. They're very, very different scores and pieces. Yeah, in fact, I could talk to you about this forever. But if we do this about every musical, we're going to be here for like 24 hours. Which musical has made you laugh the most and which has made you cry the most?
So I think The Producers more than any other show. Partly because there's so many theatrical references in there that are just really funny if you know and understand the art form,
The in-jokes are off the chart, aren't they?
Exactly. So that show has made me laugh probably more than any other. And again, I think Ragtime takes the cake for shows that have just made me cry. I remember going to see so the current production that's running right now at Lincoln Center, when they did their Encore's production at City Center. I went twice to see that production. The last time I was there was closing night. We were, in the center orchestra, 5 rows from the stage, and it was such a powerful vibe in that room that night. There were 7 throughout the course of that show that night, and I just, at the end of that first act number, when they sing that, that Act 1 finale, that we'll never get to heaven till we reach that day. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the entire house. I was sobbing. Everybody next to me around me was sobbing, and but that's what we go to the theater for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was so beautiful.
That connection and that feeling, that experience in an audience full of other people feeling that experience as well is priceless. I think it's a really powerful thing. And I guess probably at that point they didn't know they were going to do another production of it. It was going to be revived and on for a run. So they were all probably singing for their lives at that point, going, we're never going to do this again, so let's make the most of it.
So of course all of us afterwards were like, this has to go.
Yeah, come on, do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something too about, we always say as songwriters that musical theater is the most collaborative art form that there is, and in many ways because of the audience. We call the audience the final collaborator. A lot of times you don't know what you have until you get it up in front of an audience. And a live show is never going to be the same show from night to night because you've got the energy of an audience in there that subtly changes and colors every performance that you do.
Absolutely.
And as an audience member in the theater, I think there's something really, really special about knowing that you're in this sacred space where we all just sort of have this unwritten contract that we're going in to leave everything else in our lives outside the theater. It's where we can allow a story to move us. And when you're in a space with other people who have sort of signed that contract with you, it's a very safe place to feel like you can be vulnerable and you can allow yourself to feel things and get taken away and swept away by stories. And it's a very special thing for the actors, for the writers, and for the audience. I mean, I can't think of another word but like sacred or spiritual, just has that feeling to it.
Oh, absolutely. It is that kind of feeling, isn't it? And I think I can imagine as a writer, because I know you write as well, that must be quite an incredible thing to be in an audience, watching an audience watch something you've written. That must be quite a strange thing.
It is incredible and strange and terrifying. Yes. All of those things.
All at the same time.
All at the same time.
We actually have something in common, and I don't think it exists anymore. I saw that you had a show produced at the New York Musical Theatre Festival.
Yes.
I came over in 2004 and did a British musical that was entered.
Oh, cool.
And it was such a great experience. We did like maybe 5 shows. And then there was a great like closing night party at some underground bar in New York, and everybody was being very, very loud and stagey and fabulous. And it was such a great experience. And I don't think is it still there? Is it combined with something else?
No.
It just totally gone.
No, it's just gone now. Yeah, it was the New York Musical Theater Festival, then they rebranded to the New York Musical Festival, and then they went away.
Wow. That is a great shame. A great, great shame.
Yeah.
I've never seen a professional production of West Side Story. Is there a production of a musical that you regret that you haven't seen? That you think, oh my, you feel guilty that you haven't seen it?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I hate to be a broken record. I mean, Ragtime definitely sits up there among the shows, especially since it's my favorite that I never actually saw the original.
The original, yeah.
But it's a boring answer. I think I really wish I had seen the original production of The Producers because Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick. I mean, my God, I would have loved to have seen the two of them do that. I also feel, you know what, I feel very guilty for not having seen, and this is very recent, but Merrily We Roll Along.
Oh, yeah.
I did not see the Broadway production of Merrily.
The Jonathan Groff, Daniel Radcliffe one.
Yeah, I feel very guilty about that. I mean, I'm glad they recorded it. You know, they're going to show it. You know, pro shot of it. But yeah,
yeah, we can sort of cheat that one, can't we? Because it's going to be shown in cinemas and stuff.
We can,
which I can't wait for. I saw the trailer for it recently. It looks fabulous.
Oh yeah,
Maria Friedman, the director, was our first guest.
Oh, cool, awesome.
And I think she was still in the edit for it, but she was quite excited about it. So yeah, can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. And I never saw the original production of Hamilton.
It's still there, isn't it? I guess when you say the original, do you mean like the, not second stages, the public?
Public. Yeah, I didn't see it at the Public, and I didn't see it with Lynn and with Leslie and, you know, with all those people, you know, like I didn't see it. So.
Oh yeah, that first cast.
Oh well, what can you do?
It's going to be on a while though, right? They'll all be back in it at some point, I reckon. They've just had Leslie Odom Jr. back in it.
That show's not closing anytime soon.
It's not going anywhere for a while. Brett, should we take a little break there for a little minute and come back for part 2 or act 2 potentially?
Sounds good.
Great stuff. So, on Talk Musicals to me, I thought I would use this opportunity to support some friends of mine who have small businesses. And I put a message out on my social media to see who would get in touch and to see how I can help them amplify their voices. So, I have a couple of ones that I would like to mention today. So this one is from my friend John Chartres, who runs a small business specializing in accounting for the arts, self-employed actors, musicians and stage management, as well as small production companies. Friendly advice and good value for anyone who wants to get in touch at fresheyesfinance.co.uk. And this is from a dear mummy pal of mine called Lucy McCrudden, who runs a non-profit called Dance Mama, which is dedicated to supporting parents who dance on and off stage. With evidence-based information and support, plus over 80-plus stories, we help parents continue their careers in dance from a physical, mental, creative, and logistical viewpoint. Check out www.dancemama.org to see how they can help you navigate your career as a parent. And finally, Jessica runs something that sounds like great fun, a thing called Showtime Circus, which can be found at Showtime_circus on Instagram. It's a circus school franchise and helps other small business owners franchise or license their business. It's based in Birmingham, but I think there's lots of them around the country. So get online and have a look if you want to learn some circus skills. And welcome back to part 2 of Talk Musicals to Me. I'm here interviewing the fabulous Brett BOLES and having a fantastic chat. Thank you so much, Brett, for deciding to come back for Act 2.
Of course. Well, where am I going to go? I'm a captive audience now.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. So the first question of this half is... Oh, actually, you're probably pretty perfect to ask this question to. Which musical would you put on the school curriculum?
Oh, God. It's a good question for me, but it's also a really hard question for me. If I only could pick one.
Do you want me to give you like half an hour to think about it?
Well, okay. So I think there's only one answer if I had to pick one, and it has to be Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It has to be Oklahoma because of its importance and its place in musical theater history and what it did, you know, moving the entire genre into, you know, what it ultimately became and what it is, in a large part, what it is today. Because I don't think, how do you get away with putting a show in a curriculum if you could only choose one? It's not Rodgers and Hammerstein. It has to be. It has to be because it was, you know, it was the first American book musical as we know them today. And, you know, it had an evolution that, of course, being a musical theater educator, I could talk about for hours and hours, and I won't. But there's a real sort of seismic shift happening in musical theater after that show opened.
Oh, huge, huge.
Yeah, it was so successful. I mean, for the first time, you have songs that are written specifically for a specific story to move that story forward, to move characters forward. You have an integrated book, and you've got dance that helps tell the story of what's going on in the show. So all of that sort of comes together in this one work of art and one of the most successful collaborations in musical theater history, Rodgers and Hammerstein. So I think if I'm putting something on the school curriculum, it's got to be Oklahoma for those reasons.
I agree. I think there are a few kind of landmark musicals that changed musical theatre. That was the first one, wasn't it, really? I guess you could argue Showboat way back changed something as well. But I feel like, I'm going to say it maybe, I reckon 4 or 5 musicals. I would say Oklahoma changed the musical theatre world. I think I would say maybe Jesus Christ Superstar changed. I think then maybe Rent. I think the ones that suddenly become part of the public consciousness, like Rent, like Hamilton, you see them referenced on sitcoms and things like that. Not that Oklahoma probably was on any sitcom, but it's something that reaches out further than just the musical theatre world.
Yeah, I think you have to include Company on that list too.
Oh yeah,
because of the concept musical and what Sondheim did to the art form too, by sort of talking about things that weren't really discussed in musicals, the same way Rodgers and Hammerstein did when they did South Pacific. It's like that same kind of like, these things are not talked about on the stage, and it's those kinds of things that move a genre forward, the same way that Jonathan Larson did with Rent. I mean, these were concepts delivered in such a way that we weren't used to hearing on a stage. And Hamilton, I think, is a landmark musical in that way too, the most recently.
Yeah.
Because it's really the first time that hip hop is integrated into a Broadway score to anywhere near to the extent that it is in that show. So
yeah, it's when musicals become cool for a while, isn't it?
Right.
Rent came out and it was cool to like musicals for like 3 years, and then it got geeky again.
Yep.
And then and Hamilton's come out and it's like, is it geeky still? I don't know. Is it geeky yet? So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Oklahoma is obviously like just absolutely legendary. Is there a musical that you feel has been forgotten about that should get a big revival? Like obviously we've got Ragtime having that big revival on Broadway now. Is there something you feel is ripe for revival soon?
That's a great question. Okay, instead of a show that has been forgotten about that was on Broadway, could I talk about a show that I think should have come to Broadway and never did?
Oh, please.
And I would love to see it there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put my Stephen Schwartz hat on now and make a case for Children of Eden, which I adore.
Did that not come to Broadway, did it?
No.
Was that like Atlanta or something then? Where was it done?
No, they did that at the Paper Mill.
Right.
In New Jersey, 1999. It's Stephen Schwartz's favorite of his scores, so he feels very strongly about that show. I've directed it once. I've been in it once. It's a beautiful score, and John Caird wrote the book, so it's got a little bit of London love in it too. But it's a really beautiful score. You can hear like little hints of Wicked stuff throughout that score, and it's just a really beautiful show about family, as told through the first act, which is the Adam and Eve story, and the second act, which is Noah and the Ark and the flood. So it's like told through biblical stories, but it's not a religious show at all.
Yeah.
It's really just about what it means to to love and let go, and a score that I wish had come to Broadway, and I hope one day will come to Broadway, because I think it would resonate with a lot of folks.
Well, Stephen Schwartz is flying kind of high right now, so maybe he can wangle it that it will come to Broadway finally. If I remember rightly, when it opened over here, it was one of those victims of a war happening. I think it was maybe when the first Gulf War happened and people just stopped spending money and stopped going to see things. So it flopped here, which is never going to be a confident investment, is it, for a Broadway producer or a Broadway theatre? But I'm so pleased that they did a recording of it, because that soundtrack is phenomenal. The music in it is it
is so good,
so wonderful. And they did a couple of recordings, didn't they? They did the American one as well.
They did, yeah. I mean, the American was the one I'm familiar with Darius DeHaas and Kelly Rebke, who played Yona in that production. Actually, when I directed it, I had Stephen Schwartz, who lives close by me. He came with Kelly, and they did a little masterclass at a workshop with my actors.
Fantastic.
And it was a really fun time. Yeah, it was a good time.
Wow. Oh, that's so awesome. I actually have a lot to thank. I managed to thank him in person, actually. Stephen Schwartz Schwartz for and Children of Eden, because that song, the Stranger to the Rain song that Jonas sings, that is one of my major audition songs, and that got me my first job in the West End. And I still sometimes use it
Love that.
today. I think I'm a bit old to get away with singing it now, but that's a great song. If there are any young girls listening who want to try a new song for their auditions, get yourself a copy of Stranger to the Rain from Children of Eden. It is great.
Yes.
It's kind of like
yes, 100%.
early Elphaba, isn't it?
Yeah.
Early Elphaba, a bit of Eponine thrown in. In my head, we had Francis Raffel played that part in London. And so it sounds quite Eponine in my head.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense.
Which I think is why I liked singing it, because everyone was like, don't ever sing on my own. And I was like, okay, well, I'll sing that one instead, because that's the closest I can get to it.
Yeah, and won't be done nearly as much.
Yeah. And it's fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah.
I think that is my favourite answer to that question we've ever had. Thank you very much, Brett.
Ooh, all right. There you go.
Yeah, let's get Children of Eden back on.
Yes.
Is there any musical out there which has inspired you to like change your life, like live your life differently or make a strong choice?
Okay, so my gut on this one says it must be a Sondheim show. Because boy, he just makes me think like no other writer has been able to do. This is another tricky question. I think I have two answers to this question, and they're both Sondheim shows.
I will accept two.
All right, great. First answer is, and we talked a little bit about this before, is Company. Especially, I'm gonna be 40 next year, so it like has a little bit of a different resonance each time I've seen it in my, the progression of growing up in life. But that song being alive, there are very few songs like that have felt that resonant to me. Mm-hmm. The line, it's not even a line of lyrics, but a line of dialogue in that song where, you gotta love somebody, not just somebody. And that's a huge thing for me. And my other Sondheim answer, and it's probably maybe my second favorite musical right after Ragtime, is Sunday in the Park with George. That show, one of the reasons why it's a particular favorite of mine is because of its message about art and what art can do and what art can be, and the problems that art can cause in personal life and personal relationships.
Yeah.
Finishing the Hat is my top favorite musical theater song ever. And
Great.
I mean, not just because it's very well crafted, which it is, but because I see so much of myself in George in that song. And it's like, be careful. Don't get too myopic about the things that you do, because you may miss the other things going on around you in your life and with the people that you love and care about and who love and care about you. That's a big one for me. And in terms of, I have 3 kids, so children and art is a big one for me. What do we leave behind when we depart this earthly realm? Children and art. I mean, that's what stays. So be very careful about the choices that you make. It's so interesting to me. I'm sorry I'm going on at such length about this, but
no, I love it. Go on as much as you want. I'm enjoying this.
Then there's a link between, in my mind, a very clear link between children and art in Sunday in the Park and in Into the Woods, with the whole message about children will listen and careful of things you say. Children will listen. Yeah, children may not obey, but children will listen. Being a father and raising children to exist in this world, that has a huge resonance with me as well. So I don't know if there's a musical, but definitely a writer, and that writer would be Sondheim, who has definitely opened my eyes and changed the way that I move and exist in the world based on a lot of the songs, the lyrics, the music that he's written.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, especially with Children Will Listen. I'm a mum as well.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of paranoia.
It is.
As well, it's like, oh my God, yeah, they are. They're listening all around. And
yeah. If it affects the choices that I make that have nothing to do with my kids, it's like, if I have a choice between, then it's like, well, what option is going to let me sleep at night? And if my kids ever ask me about things that I'm not proud of or things that I am proud of, like, is this going to be one of the things where I'm going to have to say, I wasn't so proud of this choice? So there are things I think about all the time and decisions that I have made that I distinctly remember making, thinking, what would I tell my kids about this? And that's generally, sometimes if I'm vacillating between two different things, my thought is, what do you tell your kids you did in this moment? And that has led me one way or the other in a lot of decisions that I've made in my life.
Yeah, I totally am with you on that. That's so right. And bizarrely, from a man who didn't have children. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I guess he was somebody's child, wasn't he? So he'd have had that experience. But yeah, teaching parenting without having ever been one.
Pretty wild.
Amazing. So speaking of Sondheim and all the good musicals, What is the secret, do you think, to a good musical? Now, it doesn't have to be a successful musical, but a good musical in your eyes.
So there are a number of things. The idea of creating characters that are authentic and have a very clear voice is an enormous barometer of what makes a musical truly effective. And I don't even say good because good is subjective, but effective, I think. And this is one thing that I think Steve did better than almost anyone else. And even though you can clearly hear Steve's style come through in the stuff that he wrote, there's never a question that those characters feel like they're real people. And that's a very important piece of songcraft that I teach. I make sure that I teach this with my songwriters, and it's something that Steve often struggled with. If you read his book, he goes through these moments where he's like, there are times where as a writer I thought of something that was so clever and something that I really wanted to put in there, but at the end of the day, it's not about being clever as a writer. It's about using the tools and techniques that you have as a writer to make sure that your characters speak from the page. So we shouldn't hear Steve speaking through George Surratt. We should hear George speaking. That's what it's all about. And that level of craftsmanship can be the dividing line between something that feels genuine and true and something that falls a little flat or it feels a little bit inauthentic. So to me, more than anything else in a musical, and there are plenty of other things that that can make a musical fall on one end of the spectrum or the other. But I think more than anything else, that is the most important thing, is to have character. Everything has to come from character. Your choices can't stem from plot development that's part of everything, but it's got to be character-based decisions, because that's who we're going to see. We see ourselves in the people up on stage. So anything and everything that you can do as a writer to make sure that those characters feel like real people, and everything that they say, in the way that the music helps inform and support the text, and vice versa, in the harmonic language that's chosen for those moments, the instability of adding a longer line of lyrics to a shorter line that comes before, so we have a little bit of instability. There's so many little craft choices that get made. How rhyme schemes are set up, word choices. I just did a presentation to my students the other day talking about the song "Some People" from Gypsy, and how I think that's one of the greatest character establishment songs, if not the greatest character establishment song ever written for musical theater. We went through the whole thing. I spent like a half hour, dissecting it down to the nitty gritty. But word choices are so important for character as well. Just that there's one specific thing we talked about is when she sings, all the places I gotta be at, all the things that I gotta, and instead of gotta, you could have wrote have to, all the places I have to be at, all the things I have to, but choosing the word gotta is so specific, and it's so Rose, and the having that hard G at the beginning gives it that percussive sort of punchy quality that have to wouldn't have had. So it's those little tiny decisions that can make or break whether something feels true and genuine or inauthentic.
Yeah. Oh, this is so great. And I wonder if this question might have already been answered. It might have been, but if it has been, you can give it a go. Which musical feeds your soul? If you're having a down day, if you're in need of artistic nourishment, what do you turn to?
Okay. So this depends on the day, because I go to different shows for different things. So if I need a good, like, cathartic cry and want to just be in my feels, I'll put it on Sunday in the Park with George and listen to that score all the way through, because that, we do not belong together. Cry. If I really want to get lost in an epic story, like, of course, I'll put on Ragtime, because there's nothing like Ragtime for that. And sometimes I'll put on, like, if I really need a good laugh, sometimes I'll put on, like, Book of Mormon or something like that, just to kind of, just something that I don't have to think too carefully about.
Do you have, because I know you've been on a car journey today, or you've been driving.
Yeah.
Do you have a car musical? Mine is Chess. I will sit in my car and belt my head off to Chess. If I'm on my own, that's what I do. Is there anything that you put on and go, this is my car jam?
That's good. Chess is going to be my next one. I haven't listened to that one all the way through in a while. Thanks for that. Okay, so this is going to sound a little strange coming from me, unless my girlfriend is in the car with me and she sort of dictates a lot of times what we're listening to, because I don't really care most of the time. Generally, I don't listen to music in the car almost at all. I've gone completely in the podcast direction, and I just listen to that while I'm in the car. Believe it or not, I don't listen to a lot of music anywhere, either in the car or at home.
It's because it's your job. It's like you don't want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I do it every single day, and I
Yeah.
enjoy doing it every single day, but it's also like I also find it very, very difficult to listen to something and do something else. Like I cannot listen to like a Broadway musical and try to do work or try to like I can't because
Yeah.
it just pulls my focus and I
It's too
just
involving.
it is. I cannot do it. So no, it's only when I'm in a very specific mood in the car will I put on something like that or
Yeah.
something. But otherwise, no. And generally, a lot of times it'll be something like if I want to just like rock out in my car, it'll be Billy Joel or Sting. Like I
Yeah.
really love I
Oh,
love Billy
great
Joel and I love
choices.
Sting.
Yes.
So those are my sort of two go-to artists if I'm not listening to musicals. But yeah, that's the answer. As strange as it might sound, I guess.
Oh, no, amazing. That's great. Brett, that was our last question.
Wow.
But I do have to ask you as well, where can we find you on socials and what's coming up next for you? I know you have a couple of musicals in development, right?
Yes. Okay. So Instagram, I'm at the Brett Bowles. TikTok, I'm just at Brett Bowles. The most solid thing that I have coming up right now is I'm writing a book. In the process of, I have a wonderful agent. We're in the process of securing a publishing deal. A book that it's sort of untitled right now, but it's something like the Musical Theater Songwriter's Handbook. I'm aiming to write the definitive book on musical theater songcraft and how to write really good musical theater songs. So that's on the horizon. It's a niche that really hasn't been tapped.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that, anybody from people who just love Broadway and Disney to people who really want to focus in and learn more about actually writing this stuff, I want it to be accessible to all of those people, just like my socials are and stuff that I do on
Yeah.
social media is. So that's probably a 2027 release tentatively. So, but
Wow.
I am working on that now.
You heard it here first, folks.
There you go. We just had a reading of one of the shows that I wrote the score for in New York with Norbert Leobutz singing the lead role and Liz Stanley playing opposite him. And so that's, a show that's currently, we'll see what happens with that.
It's so hard, isn't it? That you can get all these like readings and stuff, but that's the beginning of a very long journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that one we did sort of ass backwards because we had a full production of that at the Kravis Center in Florida, in West Palm Beach, a few years ago. And then we did a developmental reading after that. Very strange. Don't get me started. But yes, there was a weird way of doing things, but that's the way we did it. So yeah, a little bit unsure of what the future of that one looks like right now. Other stuff, I'm not in like any position with anything else right now to be able to like even say anything or bother saying anything because who the heck knows? This business is so fickle that who knows. But yes, a lot of irons in the fire always because you have to always have a lot of irons in the fire. So that's where I am.
Well, I'm very excited. I think I'm probably most excited about the book because
Me too.
I just love seeing your videos so much because you just know so much about you find things that I don't think maybe even the composers didn't know they did.
Oh, I know that to be true.
Do you?
Yeah, having heard from them, yes.
What's the story there? What's that story?
So okay, it's so interesting because everybody works in a slightly different way, right? So I know, for example, having chatted with Lynn briefly, that a lot of the stuff that, I talk about with his work is very conscious and very intentional. And same thing is true with Bobby Lopez. He sent me a very nice message saying, your analysis is always so spot on. Like,
That's so great.
So like, I know that. And then also, here's the thing that surprised me at first, but then when I really thought about it, I was like, maybe this is not so surprising. Because I do a lot of Disney stuff on my channel too. Like I talk about Alan Menken a lot and his music a lot on my channel. And having had some conversations with somebody very close to him who said, I've shared a lot of your videos with Alan, and he's always like, that is so spot on. That is so amazing. Like he's absolutely correct. And I don't think about any of that when I write. And it's so interesting because looking at it in hindsight, he can see, oh yeah, those are all the things that I did and those are all the reasons that I did them. But when I'm working on them, I don't realize that. And when I thought about this, it made sense in some ways because, and this is what I have found in doing this and in talking to a bunch of different, and I, as a songwriter, I've written just music, I've written just lyrics, I've written both music and lyrics together. I've collaborated in all the ways that somebody can collaborate on these things. Is the thing that I have to remember is that Alan is a composer. I mean, he writes lyrics too sometimes, but not on the stuff that's, out there in public. So he's most of the time writing music first. And then it becomes the lyricist's job to think about all this crazy stuff and to hang the words on those notes very carefully. So Alan is writing to a mood and to a feeling, but he's not necessarily writing to a lyric. So he's not going to be thinking about all that stuff in the moment as he's doing it until the lyricist comes in, puts words to it, and then they can sort of work together and fine-tune everything. So not that surprising to me at the end of the day that he's not thinking as much about that, whereas the people that write write both, like Stephen Schwartz and Lin-Manuel Miranda and Bobby Lopez, are very much thinking about these things consciously as they write, because they have to consider both. It was just sort of something interesting that I learned doing all of this.
I'm just geeking out right now. This is just the best. Oh, Brett, thank you so much for talking musicals to me today. I've had an absolute blast.
Me too.
And it's a real different angle talking to you, because the depth to which you go to with the songs in a teacher's capacity as well has been really fascinating. Thank you for bringing all that to this today. It's been amazing. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
And good luck with everything. I can't wait for your book.
Thank you very much. Me too. I'm excited.
Thank you so much for listening today. This has been Talk Musicals to Me for the Bloop Network. My fabulous producer is Aaron Ware, and the music you heard is from the pen of the sublime Tom Self. If you get a moment, please subscribe or follow and rate the podcast by clicking the stars below on the podcast page. It takes about 2 seconds to do, and it will really help the podcast and its future life, and would make us massively, eternally, enormously grateful. In the meantime, another huge thanks for tuning in, and please do so again next time to see who will be next up to talk musicals to me.